Have you ever noticed how some people light up at the idea of a nothing weekend? It's Friday night. The group chat is buzzing. Someone drops a last-minute invite. And there's that one person, staring at their phone in a quiet kitchen, socks on, microwave humming, already halfway committed to the couch. And the weird part is, they're not disappointed. They're relieved. Today we're talking about the quiet psychology of people who love staying at home. And no, it's not what you think. Because the version society tells is simple. They're boring. They're antisocial. They're wasting their life. But the real reason is usually smarter than that. And by the end of this, you'll know which type you are or which type that person in your life is, and what that says about the way you handle stress, attention, and the world itself. So why do some people genuinely prefer staying in even when they could go out? Why does home feel like a charger for some people and a cage for others? Stick with me, because the answer isn't laziness. It's often something your nervous system learned to value and something it learned to protect. This isn't about right or wrong. It's not a moral issue. It's usually a pattern that makes perfect sense once you can finally name it. And once you name it, you stop fighting yourself. You stop doing that thing where you say yes and resent it the whole time. Now, when people talk about homebodies, they usually lump everyone into one box. But there are actually a few very different reasons someone might love staying home. Same behavior, different engine. Let's break it into 3 types and see which one feels uncomfortably familiar. The first type is the one people misunderstand the most. Type 1. The protector. This is the person who doesn't just like staying home. They feel better the second the front door clicks shut. Picture it. It's 8:47 p.m. You just got home. The hallway light flickers a little. You toss your keys into the same bowl you always use. The room is quiet in that specific way that makes your shoulders drop 2 inches. And you don't even realize you were bracing yourself until you stop. For this type, the outside world isn't just busy, it's unpredictable. It's loud strangers. It's small talk that feels like a performance. It's restaurants where the music is too bright and the chairs are too close. And you're trying to look normal while your brain is doing math in the background. Home is the one place you control the volume, the lighting, the pace. And if you've ever said something like, "I'm not mad, I'm just done," that's this type. The mechanism here is simple. Overstimulation. Some nervous systems run hot. They pick up more detail, more noise, more emotion in a room than most people do. So staying home isn't avoiding life, it's regulating it. You'll notice it in little behaviors. They'll cancel plans and feel guilty, but also feel safer. They'll dread just grabbing drinks because they know it's never just drinks. It's 3 hours of being on. And if someone pushes them, they'll say something that sounds cold but isn't. "I don't want to go out tonight." What they mean is, "I don't have the energy to perform being okay." And the reframe is this: they're not broken, they're not fragile, they're adapted. They've learned that peace is something you have to protect. Now, there's another group that stays home, but for a different reason. They're not protecting from intensity, they're recovering from it. Type 2, the overloaded realist. This is the person who's fine in public. They can be charming, they can show up, they can even enjoy it, but the cost comes later. It's Sunday afternoon. Laundry is half folded. There's an email you haven't answered. Your calendar has too many tiny obligations that somehow feel like weights. And someone texts, "You free tonight?" You look around your apartment like it's a crime scene. And you think, "I don't want more fun. I want less everything." That's this type. They love staying home because modern life is heavy. Not in a dramatic way, in a 1,000 paper cuts way. Too many messages, too many choices, too much being reachable. So home becomes the one place where nothing is demanded instantly. Out there, the world wants quick responses. Smile here, react here, be interesting, be available. At home, you're allowed to be neutral. You're allowed to just exist without producing something. If you've ever heard yourself say, "I'm not sad, I'm just tired," that's this type. The mechanism is bandwidth. Some people don't run out of social interest. They run out of mental capacity. So they choose the place that gives them back their brain. You can see it in what they do at home. They don't just scroll, they reset. They clean in silence. They meal prep. They watch the same comfort show because it doesn't ask them to solve anything new. And if they do go out, they plan it like a mission. What time are we leaving? How loud is it? Can I drive myself? And they'll say a line that sounds like a joke but isn't. I'm down, as long as we can leave whenever. Translation: I can handle people, I just can't handle being trapped. The reframe here is simple too. Staying home isn't doing nothing. For this type, it's maintenance. It's how they stay functional. And then there's a third type. This one is quiet, confident, and honestly, a little misunderstood because they don't seem like they need staying home. They choose it. Type 3, the depth builder. These are the people with rich internal lives. They don't need constant external stimulation to feel alive. They have books with bent spines, a hobby they never post, a playlist that feels like a private language. They might spend a Saturday night reorganizing a workspace, learning a skill, building something slowly, or thinking themselves into a new idea. And it's not because they have no friends. It's because they don't feel empty when they're alone. Here's the micro scene. It's 2:11 a.m. The house is dark except for one lamp. There's a mug on the table. The world is asleep. And for the first time all day, your mind feels like it has room. And that's when you get your best thoughts. That's this type. The mechanism is internal stimulation. Some people generate meaning from within. They don't chase the moment, they understand it. So they're selective, not because they hate people, but because they respect their attention. They'd rather have one conversation that matters than 10 that don't. They'd rather go deep with one person than stay loud with a crowd. And if you've ever said something like, "I don't feel like I'm missing out. I feel like I'm finally catching up to myself," that's this type. The reframe is powerful. They're not hiding, they're building. They don't need the world to entertain them because their inner world already has depth. Now, before you decide which one you are, there's one part people rarely talk about. Because home can be a sanctuary, and it can also become a hiding place. So here's the quiet check. When you stay home, do you feel fuller afterward? Or do you feel smaller? Do you stay in because it restores you? Or because leaving feels too heavy? That line matters. Because peace feels like breathing easier. Hiding feels like your world getting smaller. And sometimes the same behavior can switch meanings depending on the season of your life. Here's the gentle part I want to say, just once. Sometimes what looks like personality is actually your system being careful, not dramatic, not broken, just careful. Because if you spent years being overextended, overlooked, or constantly expected to be on, it makes sense that your brain would fall in love with a place where nothing is demanded. That's not a flaw, that's a strategy. Now let's zoom out. Because this preference doesn't just show up in weekend plans. It shows up in how you live. If you love staying home, you often have a different relationship with attention. You don't want constant stimulation. You want clarity. You're more likely to protect your boundaries, even if you don't call them that. You might disappear to reset instead of arguing. You might need quiet before you can explain yourself. And in relationships, you tend to value safety over performance. You're not chasing chemistry in a crowded room. You're looking for someone who feels like calm. And when stress hits, your instinct might be to reduce inputs. Less noise, less obligation, less explaining. That's not weakness. That's knowing what restores you. But here's the balance check. Not everyone fits perfectly into one type. Culture matters. Family patterns matter. Your job and your season of life matter. Someone can be a depth builder at 30, and an overloaded realist at 35, and a protector after a rough year. You're not a label. You're a moving system. So here's what I want to ask you. Which type felt the most familiar? The protector? Who breathes again when the door locks? The overloaded realist? Who needs home to recover their bandwidth? Or the depth builder? Who doesn't feel bored in solitude, just focused? And has it changed for you over time? Like, were you more social when you were younger, and now you crave quiet? Or did you always feel most like yourself at home? One more question because I'm genuinely curious. When you turn down plans, do you feel guilt or do you feel peace? Because that answer says a lot. If you like content that decodes human behavior in a way that actually feels real, follow for more. And in the comments, tell me your type. Or tell me the exact moment you realized you loved staying home. I want to see how many of us have been quietly living the same story.